All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever been in the middle of a product launch and it just feels chaotic? Tons of energy, but a scattered focus, and you're just not getting the traction you hoped for? If that sounds familiar, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down how to turn that chaos into a powerful, scalable growth engine, all using the playbook of a fractional CMO. So here's our game plan. First, we'll pinpoint the common problems that plague startup launches. Then we'll get into the huge difference between having a strategy and just having a checklist. After that, we'll walk through building a go-to-market plan step by step. Foundation, lean execution, optimization, and finally, the proof that it all works. Let's do it. So, does this hit close to home? You've poured everything into building an amazing product, but getting it to the market feels like you're just running in circles. You're busy, the whole team is busy, but that forward momentum, it's just not there. Trust me, this is a super common feeling, and it's exactly what we're going to tackle today. Okay, let's dig into the problem itself. Because, launching a product is one thing, but taking it to market with real clarity, getting traction, and making it repeatable, well, that's a whole different ballgame. And honestly, this is the hurdle where even the most brilliant products can stumble. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because these are the classic mistakes. You know the first one, right? Everyone is our audience. That just leads to watered-down messaging that doesn't really connect with anyone. Then you've got the spray and pray approach, trying to be on every single channel at once. All that does is stretch your team thin and kill momentum. And without clear goals, everyone's measuring something different. And look, buying a fancy new tool isn't a strategy. It's just an expensive hobby without a real system behind it. So, this brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. The way out of that chaos isn't a longer to-do list. No, it's about shifting your entire mindset from just ticking off boxes on a checklist to building a genuine strategy. There is a world of difference between just being active and actually building momentum. And this right here is the fundamental difference. A checklist? It's all about activity. Did we post today? Check. Did we send the email? Check. It just creates noise. But a real strategy? That's laser-focused on outcomes. It measures what actually matters, like revenue or conversions. And that is what creates real, sustainable momentum. So what is a proper go-to-market strategy then? Think of it like this. It's your blueprint. It's not just a plan for launch day. It's a repeatable system for creating demand and consistently turning that attention into revenue. And this is where that expert, the fractional CMO, comes in to provide that critical, strategic leadership. All right, so how do we actually do this? We start with the first phase, building the foundation. A powerful go-to-market strategy never starts with a list of campaigns or ads. It starts with getting context and getting everyone aligned. The first job of a fractional CMO is to bring method to all that madness before a single dollar is ever spent on execution. And they do this with three core pillars. First, you define your ideal customer profile, your ICP, and this is way more than just demographics. It's about digging deep into their pain points. What keeps them up at night? Second, you position the product. You lead with the problem you solve, not the features you built. And third, you make sure your launch goals are tied to real business milestones, like hitting a revenue target or satisfying investor. Okay, once that foundation is rock solid, we can move into execution. But this isn't about launching some massive shock-and-awe campaign. No, the fractional CMO's approach is all about lean precision, getting real-world results without burning out your team or your budget. This quote right here, this is the mantra. This is the entire philosophy of lean execution. It's what stops you from throwing good money after bad, wasting time and resources on channels or messages that just aren't hitting the mark. It's about being smart and agile, not just loud. So what does this actually look like? Well, first, you prioritize your channels based on their capital efficiency, basically their CAC to LTV ratio. You only spend money where the cost to get a customer, your CAC, makes sense compared to their lifetime value. Then, instead of some rigid 6-month calendar, you use short, agile sprints to test ideas quickly. You empower your team with frameworks so they can think for themselves, and you treat every vendor like a strategic partner focused on the same outcomes. And now we get to the part that so many startups just forget. They think the job is done when the product goes live, but a smart GTM strategy knows the launch is just the starting line. The most critical phase is what comes next: optimization. This is where good launches become great businesses.
So after the launch, the entire focus shifts. You stop caring about vanity metrics like clicks and social media likes, and you start obsessing over real user behavior. Are people actually using the key features? Are they sticking around? You're constantly testing your messaging to find that perfect fit with the market. And, most importantly, you're rebalancing your budget, pulling money from what isn't working and doubling down on what is. That is how you build compounding growth.
And this table right here, it really brings the whole engine into view. You can see how it all flows together logically, from foundation to execution, and then into optimization. This makes it so clear that this isn't a one-time event. It's a continuous loop, a system where strategy and data are constantly working together to create repeatable, predictable growth. So you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but does this structured approach really work? Well, let's look at the payoff. Let's talk about some real-world results that this kind of strategy-led GTM delivers. So take a B2B SaaS company. They had awesome tech, but really low activation rates. By zeroing in on a single, ideal customer profile and positioning their product around saving money, not just cool features, they saw a 41% lift in their demo-to-paid conversions, and they did it in just 60 days. That's the power of focus.
Or how about a direct-to-consumer brand? Instead of blowing their budget on one massive, expensive launch, they used those agile sprints we talked about. They tested their messaging with small, targeted ad buys before they scaled anything. The result? They cut their customer acquisition cost by 38%. That is lean execution, saving them real hard cash.
And one more for you. A fintech startup that was expanding into a new region and just hitting a wall. Instead of just translating their website, which is the easy way out, they did the hard foundational work. They researched local pain points to truly reposition their product for that market. That led to a 3.2 times increase in signups in that region, all with 0 additional hires. Incredible. So this brings us to the most important question of all, and this one is for you. I want you to really think about your own go-to-market plan. Is it just a checklist of activities designed to get you through launch day? Or is it a strategic system designed to learn, adapt, and truly scale over time? Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful truth. Launches are moments. They create noise. But systems create momentum. Systems are what turn a single product launch into a successful long-term business.